Sanctuary of Joy, and we are here talking about abundance today. And I'm Janette Stuart, Angel Angles, Emissary of Joy here at Angel Angles and Wellbeing and Wonder. And I'm just so grateful that you could join in today. And we're going to be talking about our ideas of abundance and what that means to us. And wondering, as we answer the question, what if money really does grow on trees? So we've heard the stories from our youth. I'm not made of money. I'm not an ATM machine. But today we have money growing on trees. So that's going to be in our background today. So hopefully you guys can see that. Terrific. Thanks. Becky says she loves it. So one of the things that we do here on the Sanctuary of Joy, we meet the second Saturday of each month, and today's focus is on abundance. And we like to do a little creativity, have a little fun, do some gentle movement, and I want to give you the overview today that we're going to be doing some coloring. We're going to be talking about our ideas of abundance and what that means to us. Also about any limiting beliefs about abundance that we have. I'm going to read you a few quotes that are really meaningful to me and a page out of my book. And then we'll wrap up with some gratitude and talk about our feelings and what's coming up next month. So now I want to introduce my friend Pam, who is going to be helping out. I'm letting Neelam in. So welcome, Neelam. So Pam's going to be helping out and watching the Facebook Live. So all of you that are joining on Facebook Live, hello, welcome to Abundance. Hi, Neelam, I see you're connecting to audio, so we're so glad to have you here. And yeah, welcome.
I just want to tell you right now, Elizabeth Gill has joined us on Facebook.
Oh, wonderful. Hi, Liz. Glad you were able to join us. We're happy to have you here. And behind me is the money tree. So I want to show you that so Neelam can see it also. So Neelam, today money really does grow on trees. You may have heard that it doesn't grow on trees, but look, we have our money tree of abundance here. And my husband thinks I've lost it. I'm like, oh, isn't this just the greatest? So that's been real fun to think about money really growing on trees and some of our limiting beliefs that we have been raised with. So if you have your coloring page, I went ahead and colored mine. Or if you want to work on a project, a creative project as we're talking, you don't have to just keep watching me. You could just work on your project and have a little fun and creativity. And then we're going to do a little gentle motion here. But I want to point out, I colored my money unicorn colored. So I have pinks and purples and blue money on my money tree. So I think Mona is going to be creating her own piece of art, and Neelam, I know you had printed yours out. So enjoy whatever creativity that you are working on, or if you're not, it's totally fine too. The creativity increases our feeling of joy, which increases our sense of abundance. So I used to just think that abundance meant money. I wasn't aware that it meant anything else. And I have since learned that there are so many ways that abundance shows up in our life. It's the gift of our health. It's the gift of friends and family. It's the things in life that delight us, that um, going to the beach and being near a body of water, that being out in nature is such a gift of abundance. I had asked my wonderful Facebook group what they thought about what living a magical life meant, and that also entails abundance. And so many people said that they felt that synchronicity, looking for ways that grace is showing up in their life as abundance. So all of those different things are abundance. I spoke last month about how a fairy tale affected my feelings of abundance for about 20 years. And so this fairy tale was based on being born on Saturday and being Saturday's child. And my husband and I were both Saturday's child. And so the fairy tale, I think it's a Grimm post that says that Saturday's child has to work hard for a living. And I felt deep down inside that at that time, that was our truth, that we were like cursed because we had to work double hard since we were both Saturday's child. And you know what? I was right. We really did work hard. We had feelings of not having enough, not being enough. I used to pay the bills and I get so angry, thinking, oh no, this bill, now I'm not going to have money left, and I wanted to do this or that. And I've since shifted. And that was a limiting belief. That was something that I chose to believe about my financial prosperity. And it wasn't true. It was true at the time, but it's not true now. I gave my power away to that silly little nursery rhyme. And a lot of times we do that. We think of these money stories, things that we've heard as kids growing up that maybe a well-meaning adult has told us. Growing up, it's 11:11 on Pacific time, so I'm just enamored with the angels sending me little messages of love. My son is born on 11/11, so every time I see it, it's just a wink of love from above, and I think about him. And that's another area of abundance in my life, is the love and the friendship, and that you are all here and we are interconnected. And that is such a sense of abundance. I used to be pretty stingy with my things. I would hoard my Halloween candy. We would come home and we'd spread it all out. Then I'd organize it in different groups of, here's my chocolate bars, here's my stuff I don't really like, here's the walnuts, here's this candy and that. And my dad would have a few pieces, and then I would have candy and I would keep it under my bed from one Halloween to the next. And I would allow myself to have a few pieces, but it was just like being kind of a Scrooge. I had this huge plethora of candy and I was limiting what I was doing. And when you've had the candy for a year, it doesn't taste as good as when it does when you first get it. And sometimes we're praised for like our sense of frugalness or being generous or not being generous. I had my brother and I were a year apart in school, and I remember one back to school time that my mom took my friend and I. We were brothers and sisters, so my brother was friends with her brother and I was friends with the sister, and we went back to school shopping for supplies. And my mom gave us money to go buy our stuff that was on sale at Payless. And so we did. We each had money. The boys had their own money. Laura and I had our own money. We had our own list. We bought what we wanted, what color folders, what pens and pencils, everything that we liked, the book covers. And Laura and I got back to the car and we're going over our receipt. And we noticed that we were overcharged by a penny for each of the 4 pens that we bought. And we went back and got our money back. So my mom tells the story of that. And then the boys, they bought everything on their list. They had extra money. So they went to the copy machine in the back of the store and photocopied their money and spent all their money in the machine. And so my mother tells that story about me being, I'm the firstborn, so me being Miss Frugal going back and then the boys wasting their money at the copy machine. But that was like big fun for them because right at that time, that was the cat's meow. That was new. People didn't have printers. You had a ditto machine at school to make a newsletter. There were no real copy facilities. So that was really new and exciting. So sometimes we're coached how to deal with our money. Sometimes people aren't comfortable talking about money. My husband doesn't like to talk about money. And I'm talking about being blessed with money. I'm so grateful that I have this. So I have changed from being a Scrooge with my money to being very generous with my money and doing things that light me up. And last year when I was sick, I didn't know if I was going to make it to my next birthday. And then I did make it to my next birthday. And then this year I turned 60. So this year is my Diamond Jubilee birthday. And I treated myself to a beautiful piece of jewelry, which my birthstone is aquamarine. And there's some little diamonds on the side. So this is my birthday gift of abundance to me. My word of the year is celebrate. So I was celebrating the gift of me, being able to treat myself to this gift. I never had a birthstone ring before. And so it's just very meaningful to me. So what are some of the ideas that you may have heard, if you guys want to come off of mute, some of the ideas that you may have grown up with? You may have been raised with plenty, but maybe people felt like they were going to lose their money. My dad grew up at the end of the Depression, and he lived in poverty with no running water and no electricity for the first 13 years of his life. And then he ran away from home. He was raised by an aunt and uncle in the wilds of Idaho. And he came down to Oakland to live with his parents and siblings. But my dad felt that he was so rich growing up because he had thousands of acres of land to explore. They had to set traps for food. They grew their own vegetables and fruits and picked those. And so my dad, even though they were considered destitute, he thought they were rich. And now he wonders that now that he has so much, he has a pension, he has a home, he has a family, but he wonders he doesn't have the freedom to roam these thousands of acres that he did as a kid. He's not able to see the sun rise or the sun set as easily as he did as a kid. So his feelings of abundance have shifted. So would anyone like to share some of their ideas of what abundance stories they grew up with, maybe what limiting beliefs that you might have been told growing up? And if you want to come on camera or unmute, just raise your hand and I'll call on you. And if no one wants to share, that's fine too. Neelam, do you want to come off mute and share?
Hi. I know
Hi
it's
there.
funny. It's funny you say that money doesn't grow on trees, but I think it's a very global mindset, because I've heard that exact same thing, but in a different language. Exact same, I would say, translation. The money doesn't grow on trees, but in a language that my parents spoke to me. And it came from the fact that they were, my parents, my grandparents my grandpa still used to work in a setting where it was not the fields, but we have a lot of land in the northern part of India. So my dad, when he decided to college, he was the first person to go to college. And he did not go to a regular college. He would do, I think, night schooling, and he would work during the day. They came to the city from the small town. So when he got, so in India, basically, you can take tests where I don't know if they do that here for a State Department, but you have to take a test, which is a big deal. And when he got that job, he still had that mindset, because if you're a government employee, even though you travel the world, you do live within a certain income range. You don't have, like, it's not like it may grow as you grow in your, rank, but that's about it. It's not a business where it can go from sky's the limit kind of a thing. So I've heard that a lot, and he still has that. He's shifting as he's going older, because he had such a big problem with people not having a job, like my brother or me, and he's like, why wouldn't you work for a job? Why would you switch and shift? But I agree, as you get older and wiser, and life has shown you so many colors, pretty ones and not so pretty ones, you realize that, yes, being able to, I remember in 2000, telling my husband, we were driving from Grand Canyon to Vegas, and we decided not to stay that weekend in Nevada because it was expensive. And we saw the prettiest sunset as we entered the strip. And I said, why don't we see this? And we used to live in Maryland back then. And he said, it's always there. We're just so busy doing what we do. But yes, I've learned that it's nice to have money. Of course, you can give people more, you can contribute to the community. And it's important to be able to do what you do in order to serve, especially if you have a mission in life. Without that, it's not possible. But yes, abundance comes in so many different forms, like synchronicities, you said. Like, when I healed, it's just the synchronicities of life. And I remember my Reiki teacher once saying, when I took a session with her and I'm reading Pam's chapter where she talks about, I think she took the training before she took the session, and it resonated. Was that you, Pam? I don't know if she can hear me. But there was somebody's I read that she did the training. She became a Reiki master before she really took a session. And
that was Pam.
That was Pam, right? So,
Yes, that
and
was
I did
Pam.
this. That was me. I show up my Reiki teachers. I signed up for a session and I said, I'm going the other way back. I really need the session. And she spoke to me for an hour and a half. And we only had a 20-minute session where she said, I'll work on your chakras. And it was interesting what she said, and it was beautiful. She said, what you're looking for, you may never get. However, you are not paying attention to all the other support you have, which is far beyond what you can comprehend. And she called it like, if you don't listen now, the spirit is knocking at the door. And the more you'll resist it, the more you will keep getting into these challenges. So yes, you're right. So I agree, but I do resonate with what you shared.
Good. Yes. Pam has had a great stories for sure. Pam, do you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about that?
Well, with my getting Reiki, finding out that I'm going to be doing Reiki.
Right. And walking through the doors that open up in your world of abundance.
Yeah, and it's always scary to take that step through that open door, but it's always worth it. Yeah, when I was told I was going to be taking Reiki classes and not knowing what it was, but once you find out, then it's like, okay, this is something I should do. And yeah, you just kind of just start walking through the steps, following the path, and going where you're being led.
Yeah. Awesome. And I think that our feelings of abundance change as we grow.
Yes.
So I think as a kid, your idea of abundance, kind of like how my dad enjoyed the freedom of roaming the hills as a kid without having to worry. He could do whatever he wanted. He had to walk 3 miles to the mailbox and then walk 3 miles home. So he talks about sometimes people would send them gifts. His family, I said, lived in Oakland, California. And then sometimes they would send him stuff and Christmas gifts that would all come in the mail. And sometimes he would unwrap the Christmas gifts at the mailbox and see what it was, and then kind of wrap it back up. And then when he got home to his aunt and uncles, he would say, oh boy, and they'd be like, oh, well, the postal service, they, we're lucky the box even got here. But yeah, which reminds me, one Christmas, a neighbor said, oh, I bet we could find what Santa's going to bring you. So we looked and we did find what Santa was going to bring us. And so that was like so disappointing to find out ahead of time. Oh my goodness. Did anyone ever do that, or am I the
Yes,
only one? Oh,
I
okay.
did.
So it's like so disappointing, right?
Yes.
It's like,
Spoiled it.
Yeah. Oh goodness. So
my mom never knew, but it did spoil it.
yeah, I never told my mom either. I
No.
figured probably I'd get in trouble, or
I know.
Santa always came when we lived at home, but when we moved out, Santa never came anymore.
I have a story to
So
share.
Janette,
Oops.
okay,
We'll
I
come
just
back
wanted to add what's going on Facebook. So
Yes.
Douglas had checked in, but he said that he'll have to watch again later.
Okay, fabulous.
And we have Maria Morales. She's
Oh,
saying
hi, Maria. Yes, she's my neighbor. Hi, friend. I'm waving at you across the street.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
So that's it for now. Back to you.
Nice. Okay, terrific. And Penny, you had a story you wanted to share.
Yes, we were limited when I was growing up, but I never felt it. My mother just seemed to make everything okay, and you never realized how limited you were. And then having my children, and we were on a very fixed budget, because with 4 children, it was 4 sneakers, 4 snowsuits. But the children didn't feel it until my daughter came home crying one day about how poor we were. And I said, what does that mean? Why do you feel we're poor? Well, the kids at school said that if your parents have a mortgage, you're poor. And I said, oh, for goodness sakes, Tammy, no, everybody has a mortgage. So that changed her thinking where, okay, she was very grateful that we were blessed because we had a home and everybody had to pay every month for their home. But that's how she perceived it because friends told her. So those are my experiences growing up. And then with my children, their ideas of money, and they all worked. And when they wanted something expensive, we would say, how many hours do you have to work to get that pair of sneakers? And that put things in perspective. Well, do I really want to work 10 hours to get a pair of sneakers because it's a name brand? So they learned at an early age and appreciated it. And they still think about that today. And yes, I did hear money does not grow on trees.
Look, it does.
I did. I know. So I want you to send all of us the seeds for that tree.
Oh, yes, yes. Awesome, awesome.
Thank you, Janette.
Yeah, thank you. Fabulous. And then as a 25-year-old, our ideas of abundance change. Maybe there's children in the family. Maybe there's the thought that you will have a child someday, and things that you want to provide for this child. And one of the things that we got married, I was 22, and our son wasn't born until I was 28. But one of the things was that I wanted to have a house, and I wanted to have my own washing machine. And then when I was about 25, I was like, the clock was ticking. I mean, that's all I could think about was babies, 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 babies. I wanted a baby. And so I would read everything I could find about a baby, processes, just all things. And then when we finally decided that we would try, we were getting close to buying a house. And then I'm like, I can't wait anymore. It's okay if we have a little baby in an apartment. But the funny thing was, we saw this house. We knew what our mortgage broker told us we could afford, but we went lower because we didn't really want to have that high of a obligation. And we found this house, and then we put an offer in. This was all in 1988. So we found the house, we put an offer in, we moved into the house on my 28th birthday. I was pregnant at that time. We got our first puppy a few months later. And then our son was born on November 11th, 11/11/88. So he has like magic numbers, which I love. That's another thing of synchronicity, right? Is like looking for what the universe provides. So some people see symbols. Some people see hearts everywhere they look. Some people find coins. Sometimes it's feathers. Sometimes it's dragonflies, or it could be a cardinal bird, or something that reminds you of your loved one. And that also is a sense of abundance. I know one of my friends sees hearts everywhere, and she knows that that is a sign of love from above from her husband who has passed. And so celebrating those. So let's do a little, one of our tenets here in the Sanctuary of Joy is to do a little gentle movement. And so if you want to stand up and join us, you don't have to do it on camera, but we're going to just move around. You can look at my little money growing on trees. So we're going to do a thymus thump. This is energy healing medicine. So you just tap on your sternum. And this helps with your immune system. This helps to fight germs. This is really good if you are around somebody that's sick. You can do this all the time. When we're born, our thymus is really large in proportion to our bodies. And as we get older, our thymus kind of dries out and becomes smaller. So just tapping on it, you can tap on these energy points, and then jiggling your molecules. So you just move your hands, move your feet, jiggle your molecules. This is good to do if you find yourself sitting too long. When I wore my Fitbit, it would remind me every hour to get up and move. So anyway, there is our jiggling our molecules, which is another sense of abundance. The ability to move our bodies, the ability to feel the energy flowing. Pam is an energy healer, and she tells us about the rubbing the hands together, and you can place that on your heart. You can, if you're sore in a spot, you can rub your hands together and put the energy where you need it. So that's moving the, doing the thymus thump, and it's really good for us to do that every so often. Also, I shared a lot about our money stories. I read a lot. Hi, Lolly, glad you're here. She's coming on camera and audio here in Zoom. And I just finished a book by Tasha Silver, and it's called It's Not Your Money. And Neelam is shaking her head. She's familiar with that book, and Pam too. I just really love the way she writes. She writes as if it's a prayer of love to the divine. And I wanted to read this quote about what she says about abundance. And she writes this in her book, It's Not Your Money. The power of constant incoming grace, the joy of receiving, the arrival of synchronicity after synchronicity, like crashing waves onto the shore of your life. Now that's true abundance. So angel bumps. That just really spoke to me. I really love that quote. So do you have a quote about abundance that you'd like to share here today? If anyone does, you can raise your hand and come on mic. If not, I will share another concept with us. And Pam, do we have any questions or comments from our friends on Facebook?
Not at this time.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I'm going to shift a little bit. We're talking about abundance. We're talking about having enough, and also being enough. This feeling that we are enough. We don't have to strive. We don't have to do more. We don't have to attain anything. We are enough just because we are here, and to know that we are a divine child of God, and that is our heritage, that is our inheritance, that is why we are here. We are enough. And I know I often will feel like I'm not doing enough. I could do more. I could have done better. And so giving myself grace is a true act of love and of abundance, because a lot of times it's easier to give other people grace, and say, oh, you did the best you could. But sometimes we're a little critical with ourselves. Um, I should have done this, I should have done that. And today's a good invitation to take should out of your vocabulary and to replace it with the word could. So it's more empowering. So instead of saying, I should work out, I could work out. I should save more money becomes I could save more money. And it's embracing our power and letting ourselves receive grace and love. So I also wanted to read this bit of article, and it's from a woman named Pixie Lighthorse, and it's from her book, Prayer of Honoring Voice. And she's talking about our worth and our enoughness, which I think is critical for us to feel that we are enough just as we are. So if you want to just close your eyes and let these words percolate into your heart, if you're at a spot that you can enjoy this. If not, keep your eyes open, that's fine. So by Pixie Lighthorse, it's called Honoring Worth. Thank you for this day of knowing my value. It is not for others to reflect my merits back at me. You've tried to transmit this to me many times, but it's hard to hear and easily forgotten. Help me remember that it's a miracle to be here. Drum into my cells that I don't have to carry anxiety about my value. Expand my limits for accepting my majestic existence. Let me hang medals of honor on my own jacket and stop questioning whether I do enough and give enough. Open me to my flaws and imperfections, because my obsession with perfection is killing my spirit and faith in divine love. When hunger for external affirmation is insatiable, it complements and compromises my relations. It complicates and compromises my relationships. Help me to let my people off the hook for needing ideal words that will lead to my fulfillment. Freedom from inaccurate beliefs about myself is between you and me. Help me discover how I can be most useful, knowing that my spiritual significance isn't rooted in what I do. Remove thoughts that I'm burdensome or hindrance to those around me, or my gifts are unappreciated. Help me create a meaningful, dignified life and establish trust with you that I am right on path. When I'm dependent on others, let me be self-sufficient. Help me define how to show up and what I can contribute. Remind me that lives are not measured in dollars. When I'm not honoring my mission, direct me back to them. Point my generosity and kindness facing outward, knowing that everything that flows from me creates a ripple. Remind me that it's possible to trigger unworthiness in others when I set unfair and impossible standards for myself. Let adequate and good enough challenge my efforts for excellence. Highlight my benevolence, because big-heartedness is what I want to be remembered for above all. Help me know and trust that I am a beneficial organism in the great cosmic design. And I just thought that was so beautiful. So thank you for letting me share that with you here, dear hearts. Does anyone know Pixie Lighthorse's work? My friend Becky, who's here, read this part of her book to me, and I was just like, I have to get that book. So again, her name is Pixie Lighthorse, and it's from her book, Prayers of Honoring Voice. And for us to remember that we are enough, we are more than enough. There's nothing that we need to do or accomplish. We are enough just the way we are. Thanks for putting that in there, Pam. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Penny. Awesome. So do we have any questions or anything anyone else would like to share about abundance or anything we've talked about today?
I did notice that when we start paying attention to the signs that show up in around us, the more they show up, as if they're speaking
Yes.
to you. When I was paying attention like years ago, this was 5 years ago, when I was all into the clouds and the coins and the feathers, I would see a lot of those. And then I had a bird feeder, and all these cardinals and beautiful birds would come, and I would taken a lot of those pictures, but they've come back because you have to be in that space, and I don't know how to say that, but it's interesting. The more you pay attention, you will keep getting signs. My card number, and I remember seeing a post of yours somewhere, and I couldn't get to it, but my card tag for the last many years is yoga 444. And
Oh,
and I
that's awesome.
and I always tell them, and my husband, like, the front is dinged now. I was in a big car accident, but my car is like amazing. Must have like been built just to save me. And I said, no, I'm not going to remove that. Those and people, like, I get random like compliments. We love your car tag. I'm like, if I tell them before, they'll be like, she's crazy, but I have it for a purpose. But so
Oh,
that's just
that's
yeah.
awesome. And the number 444, angel numbers, just an easy way to remember it is all is well. So
Yeah,
yoga,
yeah,
all is well.
yeah.
Neelam,
Nice.
all is
As
well.
well.
Yeah, that's
I used
awesome.
to, I would see those numbers. I used to have that app, which never got upgraded because once you and I were talking about, like, with the angel card reading, right? So it never got upgraded to the new versions of the phone as the operating system, the iOS keeps changing.
Right.
So it's a shame because it was kind of, the more I would look for the meaning, I knew the basic ones like the 33, the 11, the 77, the 44.
Mhm.
It was interesting. The more you would see them, and as if you were thinking something, and you're driving, and all of a sudden you see somebody's car tag, and you're like, oh my God, this is like a little
Yeah.
creepy, but then it's not, but initially, but it's so beautiful, it's so magical. But I know if we say that and somebody's listening, they're like,
Agreed.
yeah,
Yes, a friend of mine finds feathers all the time
yes,
in her house, on doorknobs in her house, and she's like, it wasn't there a little bit ago, but it's there now.
I know.
So
Like,
getting those beautiful signs of love from above, so
Yes.
awesome.
When I go to the beach, there are feathers every day. So many. And I marvel. And I have been finding coins. And what I'm finding abundance in is all of the Zoom meetings from everybody. I feel so abundantly blessed listening to Pam, learning, listening to you, Janette, listening last night to Buddy, the energy he had. I was so exhausted at the end of his hour. I was, and there's so many with technology that I feel so blessed, and I'm learning every day so many wonderful things, and I'm so grateful. So
That
grateful.
is awesome. That is a perfect example of abundance and the beautiful cycle of it also. So
Yes.
the number 8 is, you know, 2 circles on top of each other, and then you turn it sideways. I'm drawing
It's
it with
infinity.
it's infinity. So
Yeah.
that's just a beautiful thing. And today is 8/8. So
Yes.
today is a wonderful day to celebrate abundance. So if you want to share your picture or what you were creating, you can hold that up to the camera and we can all see. Okay,
Oh,
Neelam
wow.
got hers all nicely colored. Beautiful, Neelam, beautiful. And I put some lines there to
Yeah.
say what you feel abundance is. Like Penny, now Zoom meetings, the information, the love, the connection, right? All of this new new ideas flowing. It's just beautiful. That inspiration.
Well, I had this to draw on, but I was so intent in listening, and all of my pens are next to me. So I am richly blessed with the rocks, with
Oh,
nothing on it.
Oh,
that's so awesome.
I have to show you this, what Penny sent me.
Oh, you have Penny's rock with the,
The second one, because I told her I was
oh,
leaning, and when you said interconnectedness, and I was like, you won't be able to see that.
wow, that is
So yeah,
awesome.
I know it's
Okay,
like,
listen, interconnectedness,
yes,
that is beautiful.
because my
Penny
work,
blessing the
yeah.
world with her rocks.
Thank you.
Penny rocks.
Yeah, and that was a
Thanks.
surprise.
You're
I was like,
wonderful, Neelam.
oh, I mean,
She
you keep
is.
reminding me, confirming, I would say that, like, there's so much kindness. And I was telling Penny how this group that with Coffee with Douglas, or coffee, yes, that is it, right? It's amazing to like to find people that I know all of you have been through, like the classes we did and the Reiki and all. We find those little tribes and circles. But but during COVID, to find that, and that too across the like globe, I would say, it's amazing.